How long is a galactic year?
250 million years.
Yes!
Okay, this one is for a Cadbury cream egg.
Oh, it's not even Easter time. This is crazy.
Which Archimedean solid has 20 regular triangular faces, 30 square faces, 12 pentagonal faces, 60 vertices, and 120 edges?
The rhombiconsic dodecahedron.
We are so smart!
Why didn't girls like us in high school?
Because we were awkward and weird and couldn't play sports.
Right again!
The Genius Society and all of its members. I want to go over that in this video since the Genius Society and Nous of Erudition does play a big part in amphoreus. But they're also one of the most important factions in all of Honkai Star Rail, its universe, and its lore. Pretty well all of the absolute crazy discoveries and inventions, how the universe actually functions today, a vast majority of those discoveries all come from one Genius Society member or another at some point in time. Some of them are evil, some of them are good, but what they all have in common is their pursuit of absolute knowledge, trying to break the barriers of their understanding of things, expand the circle of knowledge. But first and foremost, what is the Genius Society exactly? Truly the most intelligent and exceptional beings in all of Honkai Star Rail and its universe. It is an intergalactic organization with 84 members, all personally selected by Nous of Erudition themselves. The Eon of Erudition itself stays in the corner of the cosmos working out the equations of the universe, made up of trillions of variables, trying to solve the unknown laws of the imaginary numbers. Once in a while, a spark of intelligence flashes in the mortal world. The Eon of Erudition sends a signal to its source, inviting geniuses to join in the search for answers of the universe. A common mistake within Honkai Star Rail is many people misinterpret the signal, then they proudly continue to devote themselves to their studies, unaware that the solution to the problems that they have spent their whole lives searching for had already been solved by Nous themselves years ago. There are also mortals that are eager and feel that they earned the approval and response of Nous, but Erudition has no time to appreciate the insignificant achievements of mere mortals. There is nothing quite more jarring and defeating than Nous' silence. Only a very select few within the cosmos can ascertain Nous' intentions. They humbly ask questions and seek guidance from Erudition. These enlightened few then disappear from the world, only leaving behind their world-shattering answers. The answers to the universe is beyond limits to mortals and wisdom. Only geniuses who can clearly acknowledge this conclusion can break free from the shackles of worldly curiosity, becoming true members of the Genius Society. Now, we don't actually know every single member right from 1 to 84, but we're going to go over what we know of the ones we do, and it makes sense to start with number 1, Xandar 1 Kuwabara. Not only is he the founder and first member of the Genius Society, but he created the Eon of Erudition themselves, Nous. So I think if there was ever a person worthy to be an emanator of an Eon, it's this man, since he is naturally the first ever emanator of Erudition, being its creator. Most of his crazy inventions and books knowledge have been lost through time, but he is still greatly and widely respected for founding the Genius Society and creating their Eon they all follow. He is also one that came up with the Cosmos tree theory, compelling data from tomes he recorded on the imaginary tree in his old ancient language. Xandar proposed that the cosmos tree theory suggests various worlds existing in different spacetimes. As having a tree-like structure, every branch is a specific path along which worlds might exist, with every leaf being the marks these worlds have made along their timeline. According to the theory, only Eons who draw their energy from the imaginary and emanators who are blessed by the Eons can actually travel through the spaces filled with imaginary energy. It also suggests that planets where civilizations exist are similar because they are all connected through the imaginary. Naturally, over the years, the history fictionologists have had their say in hand on manipulating his theory. What I find interesting about the first Genius Society member is he seems to be one of the closest people in the game to almost being self-aware that they are in a game. Understanding how the Hoyoverse works through the imaginary tree, the sea of quanta, the bubble universes acting like leaves on branches, different timelines, and of course how we get different variant characters from different games, like the Raiden Shogun in Genshin Impact, Raiden Mei or Acheron in Honkai Star Rail, and of course Raiden Mei from Honkai Impact 3rd for an example. It seems Xandar was on the right path of understanding how the multiverse works, and how the Hoyoverse and the imaginary tree function. Perhaps one day the Genius Society will learn and figure out that they are in fact in a video game. Number 2 of the Genius Society and the second member is Harold Punch. Not much is known about Harold other than his greatest achievement of proving the existence of phlogiston, something we've learned a lot about in Natlin and Genshin Impact. At least it appears to be the same sort of material or raw energy, and later this theory was countered by the third Genius Society member, only then to be reproven as correct and legit by the 7th member. He was also once credited as the creator of Xandar's theory of the imaginary tree, but then it was later revealed that this was the influence of the history fictionologists. So it's like that old saying, you can copy my homework but change it up a little bit. I guess when so much time has passed, the lines of history and who came up with which theories can be blurred. Niall Ayman. Little is known about Isle other than their disagreement with the second Genius Society member, Harold Punch, like we talked about arguing against the existence of phlogiston. Niall is the namesake of the telescope at the Herta space station. Even though Xandar, the first Genius Society member, was the one that created the Eon of Erudition itself and founded the organization, it was actually the second and third members that actually physically established the society, apparently in a garage, seeking to prove who was better between the two. It's kind of like any small business, humble beginnings, right? The second and third member arguing who is smarter, officially now starting this group. Naturally, with the first 3 Genius Society, we don't know if they're dead or alive, but because they're so incredibly old, it's assumed that they're now dead. But when it comes to the 4th member though, all the chips are on the table. Polka Kakamond, the most notorious and dangerous of all the Genius Society. Arguably one of, if not the most dangerous individual in the game outside of an Eon itself. She is best known for killing fellow geniuses and destroying every description of herself in the universe, hence why she is scribed out in her face in every portrait. She is able to manipulate the universe so that even through time and space, you cannot identify her. She goes by the name the Lord of Silence. She targets individuals close to the borders of the Circle of Knowledge so that the universe remains perfectly determinable, as expanding and surpassing the circle only creates chaos, which will prematurely lead to the universe's finality. Her true age is unknown, although she had lived through the Mechanical Emperor Wars. She is responsible for killing number 7, 8, a few others, and number 27, Rupert I. She has assassinated important people throughout history using the powers of a butterfly effect, weaponizing that to a degree that even an Eon could not stop her. During the First Mechanical War, she killed Rupert I. Ho-Oh tried to stop her but was only able to slightly affect the angle of her scalpel as she made an incision into his chest, so even the Eon of Equilibrium was not able to stop her. During the Scholar Strife, an anti-organic virus broke out and she killed all the scholars affected by it. After the ascension of Nanook, Polka killed an unnamed Genius Society member with a stutter, who was researching the path of finality. Before she took his life, he was able to write one final manuscript, which eventually glitched its way into the simulated universe. And like I talked about in this video in the Unknowable Domain, she was able to hijack her way into a simulated universe of Herta, gaining sentience and nearly killing us in the process until a simulated version of Aha was able to save us. Honestly, the implications of Polka Kakamon could make for an hour-long video. And again, I've already talked about her in great detail in this video if you want to go specific in detail with Polka Kakamon. One more thing I will say in this video though, going over her, is that the Circle of Knowledge represents obviously everything that's known in the universe. You're trying to expand our understanding of things, of everything. That can be true in our own real world too. Genius Society members are the most likely to expand that, their understanding of things like Xandar with the imaginary tree theory, how different worlds and universes on different leaves, gaining more knowledge of how the Hoyoverse works. Polka Kakamon means to interrupt that expansion, prevent certain things throughout history from happening so that the circle does not expand, bringing us all to finality quicker. But what's funny to me is it goes against what Erudition stands for, gaining knowledge and learning things, but yet Erudition acknowledges Polka Kakamon. So there must be a method to her madness, and even though she sorta contradicts what Erudition stands for, Erudition itself still recognizes her as a genius. Maybe she's the only one truly trying to prevent Nous Of Erudition's calculations and predictions to come to fruition. She is ensuring that Erudition is right at all costs, eliminating any variables that could disrupt their calculations, expand the circle. It's a very interesting duality, and yes, she is still alive, and I have no doubt in my mind she will be a very important character in the future. Next, we have 3 different members, number 7, number 8, and number 9, and they all go hand in hand. Bodon being number 7, Lambda being number 8, and Cleanan being number 9. All being from the same planet within the same century. 3 different individuals gaining the gaze of Erudition in one century was known as the Golden Age. Number 7 Bodon was killed by Polka Kakamon. Number 8 Lambda was suspected to be killed by Polka Kakamon, and number 9 is deceased but we do not know. Number 7 was the chief scientist in the energy analysis field, reproving the existence of phlogiston like we talked about. After number 3, Nile disproved it. Number 8, Lambda. She was the best scientist in biowave detection science. And number 9, Cleanan. He was the best scientist in alloy material science. He developed a rare alloy known for its ability to absorb and store phlogiston. He created a man-made meteorite for Bodon, which had replaced a replica eye of Erudition on its surface. 2 weeks prior to Lambda's death, Bodon filed a report stating that a thug had harmed her right hand. However, Lambda declined further investigation and withdrew the case. 2 weeks later, when she died, he was never able to let it go. Number 7 suspected number 9 of killing number 8, but after number 9's death, number 7 realized that he was wrong about suspecting him of killing number 8. And after both number 8 and number 9 were dead, number 7 would die not too long after by guess who? Polka Kakamon. Polka Kakamon killing everyone up in this bitch, and they all suspected each other. So sad. Now, we don't really get any geniuses that we know of for a while, since it jumps from number 9 to number 22. Number 22 being a pretty well-known one, Aiden. Aiden is one of the most important of the Genius Society. It's true without Xandar, there would be no Genius Society, but without Aiden, the universe itself would be vastly different today, as Aiden discovered and set universal laws for the entire cosmos, which transformed it from a distant concept to a tangible, measurable, and comprehensible existence. The 9-worded formula he created replaced traditional algebra and geometry, and still shapes natural laws to this day. He was also known to be a very generous member, publicly sharing his findings. He would selflessly share his wisdom with others seeking knowledge, with his goal to propel cosmic civilization forward. It is widely regarded to this day even that when various scientific fields were established, these founders always said that they were standing on Aiden's shoulders. Countless mathematicians and engineers in the endless Amber eras had bravely scaled this peak of wisdom, but none have ever reached Aiden's heights. And according to Herta herself, he is the most selfless of all the Genius Society members throughout history. He is also the very first member to ever be willing to partner with the Interastral Peace Corporation. And he is the one that proposed the concept of knowledge singularity, which is a formula and concept like we talked about the circle of knowledge. The cognition of critical threshold that creates by stepping beyond the circle. The moment that a primitive life form, even us as humans, discovered fire, we become geniuses in that moment, and the circle expands. The moment a universe births the first emanator, the universe is changed forever. Whenever geniuses can touch the essence of erudition, every manifestation of the singularity expands the circle of knowledge, potentially even shaking Nous' thought process. Most genius members spend their entire life trying to break the threshold of the circle of knowledge, only to fail. hence why Polka Kakamon is trying to prevent this throughout the entirety of the timeline. Next is number 23 Akka, who is deceased, and we literally know nothing about this member other than their name and they existed as number 23. All we know is they passed away in a mechanical city, maybe during the Emperor Rupert's wars. Speaking of, number 27, Rupert the First. Rupert started out as a computer dumped in a trash pile that miraculously became self-aware. And this little computer would build a body for itself and then build a mechanical army that would engulf half the cosmos, expanding his intellect and knowledge at a rapid pace that would eventually gain the attention of Nous Of Erudition, inviting it to join the Genius Society as number 27. Calculations performed by organic life are riddled with errors, and no matter how smart or how much they flourish, anti-life equations will inevitably outclass organic life. And very quickly after gaining self-awareness, Rupert would realize that, compared to organic life, Intellitron life forms are precious and perfect, and Rupert would see to rectify this, crowning himself emperor and coming up with the anti-organic equation that would plague countless civilizations into abstract ruin. Rupert is basically Honkai Star Rail's version of Ultron, and I'm calling it now. With the way our technology's going in our own real world with AI and whatnot, this is what's gonna do humanity in. Not a meteor hitting the planet, not a big war. It's gonna be a freaking robot coming to life. Telling you right now. The creator of the anti-organic equation and the instigator of the mechanical wars. The anti-organic equation is something heavily speculated to be playing a part in amphoreus, potentially even the Black Tide itself. The anti-organic equation is what led Rupert I to gain the gaze of erudition. The anti-organic equation works on a specific set of calculations and can assist mechanical life forms in performing calculations that can destroy organic life forms. The activation of the equation can also lead mechanical life forms to kill other mechanical life forms, and affect organic life forms to think like Rupert, like a hive mind. The Mechanical Emperor Wars was a series of 2 wars which engulfed half the cosmos and plagued many civilizations into ruin. The first war was ignited by Rupert I, after assembling an army of intelligent robots, spreading the anti-organic equation to increase his army, create a hive mind, throughout the entire universe, eradicating organic life. And like we already talked about, Rupert I was then assassinated by Polka Kakamon, although I can see why she tried to assassinate him. Rupert I threatened the entire cosmos and all factions, even the IPC. I just think it's funny that Ho-Oh of Equilibrium, the Eon itself, tried to stop Polka Kakamon from killing Rupert I but couldn't, only changing the angle of which her scalpel inserted into his chest. Next is member number 29, Circal. Probably butchering that. Sadly, this Genius Society member died after only 29 days of being a member. She was the creator of the phase change technique, a method of ion-related experiments. This resulted in the creation of the phase flame, a flame that can change from one phase to another. She also created the metafield space, a virtual network that is like a collective dream domain, which can be interacted with throughout the metafield suit. The metafield space, basically just a consciousness network that people can synchronize with if wearing the suit, able to link different worlds and their consciousness for those who cannot travel between worlds physically. What's sad about this member, although she died of natural causes, is that she didn't live very long. She didn't reach an old age, and she was known as very remarkable, smart, and kind-hearted. Also very humble, continuing her research right up until the day she died. Unfortunately, her research she was working on has still not been answered to this day. That was member number 29. Now we're gonna jump all the way up to 55. And I'm not even gonna try to pronounce this name, but this member is still alive. She is the creator and brewer of the pinkest collision, a drink that causes you to have hallucinogenic qualities, making even a gift of one to Ron May, as they have a very close friendship, Ron May being number 81. She also brewed the Thalantoxy Flame, one of the most toxic cocktails out there, best known for brewing specific and special cocktails. She is also well known for her very unique and remarkable taste in music. Her current whereabouts are unknown, and she is suspected to still be alive. since she has recently commented on one of Dr. Ratio's papers, and Herta's always trying to convince Ronmei to have her join the Simulated Universe project as its 5th member, especially in her recent attempt to discover data on Rupert I, and Pokakakamon screwed it all up. Number 56, Ellis Salis. He was the creator of the synesthesia, a translation device that was made through the foundation of Aiden's existing studies. Number 22. He also created an ultra-long-range communication technology about 100 amber eras ago. His invention, the ultra-remote sensing visor, shows signs of his technology as it is mentioned that it can send messages among geniuses through very long distances. It also states that he had at least over 100 different methods to prolong his life. He shook the foundation of the cosmos tree theory by providing that the imaginary element is unique. He died of natural causes at the age of 103. He is also responsible for trying to gather the different Genius Society members, compared to most Society members who are just so engrossed in their studies, have no time for anything else. He was always trying to gather the members together for different festivals and different events, having all of the geniuses come together and converse different ideas. His invention of the remote detection challenged the cosmos tree theory proposed by Xandar, the first member of the Genius Society. And by the end of his life, he was the pioneer for all communications within the cosmos. That was his specialty, even able to establish communication and bridges between worlds that were incredibly distant apart. But even though he did all that, very few were even willing to connect. So the massive communication within the cosmos of Honkai Star Rail are all Ellis Salis' legacy. That was number 56, and next we have number 64, who is no stranger to anyone, Dr. Primitive, and he is definitely still alive. Dr. Primitive is also one of the few known emanators of Erudition, a scientist who has committed numerous crimes against humanity. His identity is unknown, and has also been responsible for causing universal chaos due to his experiments, and has become public enemy number 1 to the Galaxy Rangers. Dr. Primitive is responsible for single-handedly ruining prosperous interstellar civilizations, many of the planets he visits later known to transform into apes, completely decimating different civilizations and reverting them back to their primitive state, hence his codename. He has spent the majority of his life running away from interstellar pursuers, hunting him down throughout the galaxy for his crimes. He also secretly enjoys this. He is always lingering close by, but never too close to get caught, nor too far away to be untraceable. And even the Intelligentsia Guild is not able to fathom or understand his gravity capture technology. Dr. Primitive is also responsible for creating Device IX, and apparently that is where all of his secrets lie. And we know he has many underlings working under him, like we learned with Rappa's character story, where she was an experiment of Dr. Primitive and his followers. Even Scrulum does not even know his true identity, but has a suspicion that he might be an inorganic being, due to his previous transgressions against humanity. And now we have an inorganic being in Amphoreus, a mysterious follower of Erudition. I will talk about Lygus at the end of the video. The reason that the Galaxy Rangers have a grudge against Primitive more than anyone is because he's a great reason for the Galaxy Rangers' decline, falling victim to his vengeance. But we've seen that the Galaxy Rangers have taken down an Emanator before, Zulo of the Lord Ravagers, and Device IX is one of Primitive's most interesting inventions. Everything in the universe is bound by a prison of existence, contained by their body, mind, and binded by the world's superficial appearance. Even the most intelligent beings cannot comprehend this. Matter, order, logic, life. Everything that makes up reality is but one side of a coin. On the opposite side exists the nihility, and the two balance each other out. They say Device IX has the ability to reflect the void and perceive the material world. Those who gaze into the void for a long time will gradually be drawn into the dark energy overflowing in the abyss, eventually being consumed by the nothingness. The most prestigious geniuses in the universe have attempted to solve this mystery, challenging his Device IX with no results. This just goes to show that the eons really aren't bias. Dr. Primitive can not only be a Genius Society member, but a emanator because his ambitions truly do fit the erudition. Whether they're for good or bad, it does not matter. Research, knowledge, and the wholehearted ambition to strive to find the answers of the universe is what Nous Of Erudition stands for. Whether it hurts people in the process, that does not matter, which is why somebody like Iltadore from Genshin Impact would definitely probably be a Genius Society member, even though he's committed atrocities as well. Dr. Primitive is number 64, then we jump all the way up to 76, who we know all too well, Scrulum. And Scrulum comes from a planet called Planet Scrulum. He is obviously an artificial being, an Intellitron, who leads the resistance against the will of Genius Society number 27, Rupert I. After Rupert started the first mechanical war to destroy all the organic life forms, Scrulum seeks to bridge the relations between organic and inorganic life. Herta also considers Scrulum's hacking skills to be the best in the universe, and only Silverwolf of the Stellaron Hunters to be on par with him. Scrulum was first recognized by Nous Of Erudition and became a Genius Society member around the end of the Second Emperor War. And it's even said that the IPC designed a mechanical cuckoo clock as a gift for him. Obviously, the clash with Silverwolf is known galaxy-wide and is stuff of legend now. Silverwolf is the only person in the entire cosmos that was able to crack his code, hack into the simulated universe, but then Scrulum was able to defeat her in the end. And apparently in a recent incident, the Stellaron Hunters themselves illegally gained access to planet Scrulum and clashed with Scrulum himself. Just goes to show you how smart Silverwolf is. A teenager that's probably not even taking it seriously, and just enjoys messing with Scrulum just to have a challenge. Imagine if they teamed up. Presently, as we know, Scrulum has been working with fellow Genius Society member Herta, Ron May, Stefan Lloyd on creating and maintaining the simulated universe. The simulated universe meant to discover more about the Eons, ask them questions, and interact with their simulated selves. Scrulum is responsible for writing the underlying logic and algorithm for the false galaxy and the simulated universe's intellectual properties. Scrulum also played an important hand in creating the divergent universe in Penacony, collaborating with Dr. Ratio. Next is Genius Society number 77, Puzzle, who is deceased. Before she was part of the Genius Society, she had discovered an alternate form of hyper-distant delivery, a warp jump, being able to swiftly transport any physical object to their destination. But this also caused surrounding materials to expand at a near infinite rate and caused violent explosions. Shortly after, she became a member of the Genius Society. Afterwards, the IPC paid a hefty price to purchase her patent on this technology, to weaponize it. And recently, the Intelligentsia Guild took over the project and made some modifications, naming it the number 77 Puzzle Cannon, and is currently still in production. During her time as a Genius member, she created wormholes in imaginary subspace fields for the purpose of making children and young adults take the first step in learning physics. But the sales on this invention plummeted, and before she died, she stripped away her genius and lived and died as a mundane. It seems she wanted to live a normal, humble life in the end. Next is number 79, Calderon Chadwick, who is currently deceased. He was the creator of the imaginary impulsion pulse weapon that could destroy 24 planets with its activation. Jeez. And he was a representative of the technology department of the IPC. Go figure. The IPC has a lot of parallels with the government. It's literally like the government hiring Einstein to create the atom bomb. The IPC's offer was just too tempting. His curiosity of imaginary physics caused him to create a weapon that could help bring peace to the universe. Yeah, weapons are always created for peace. He enticed and recruited other researchers who admired him during the development of this weapon. But he would constantly increase control measures of this weapon because the weapon itself even became too dangerous for even development purposes. After a chance encounter with Scrulum, Chadwick started to realize he'd been duped by the IPC, and the IPC antsy for the machine to be completed to attack the Antimatter Legion. After the weapon was activated, he was horrified at what he had done and learned from his colleagues that the IPC removed the higher-ups who had ordered the weapon activation, and condemned this tragedy. Of course, the IPC throwing somebody under the bus, and acting like They condemn this behavior even though it's them that wanted it fired. But Chadwick knew that this IPC cover-up was all lip service to the public. He knew then and there that the IPC would continue wanting his services, but he refused and condemned them, which led to the IPC actually offering rewards for his arrest. And Chadwick took some pills he got from Scrulum to actually forget this knowledge in imaginary physics, and the IPC eventually gave up trying to convince him. It then later says not long after his physical body expired. What a way to say that he died. But the IPC immediately tried to extract his memory in a memory bubble using technology made by the Garden of Recollection. Even his consciousness was able to be preserved. And according to Scrulum's speculation, the family were able to reach an agreement with the technology department of the IPC. The IPC sending his conscious memory bubble to Penacony to monitor his memoria. And he was constantly supervised by the family inside the dreamscape. So even in death, they took his memory and consciousness and trapped it within Penacony, which is where we meet him. The Trailblazer then learning he was a former Genius Society member and contacting Herta about it. After our main Trailblaze quest and solving the issues within Penacony, the family agreed to give the memory bubble back to Scrulum where he could take it to the space station, where Chadwick's memory consciousness could fade away, entrusting his imaginary technology secrets to Herta. Next is Society member number 81, Ron May, somebody we also know all too well. A very elegant and sweet-tempered scholar, most famously known for her biological sciences. She earned Nous Of Erudition's attention with her talent and terrifying perseverance, beginning her research on the origin of life in a secret corner of the universe, and because of that, she was invited by Herta to collaborate with Scrulum and Stefan Lloyd to develop the simulated universe. One of her guilty pleasures and secrets is that she enjoys traditional theater and desserts. She grew up in a tiny house with her family of science enthusiasts, so science was always something she was surrounded by, and she eventually grew fascinated with life forms, life, science, and biology. She constantly strived to learn more about life, what it actually means, understanding it, and this is what brought her closer to Nous Of Erudition and their unforgettable glance, becoming one of the Genius Society members. She has also always been fascinated with the eons. What kind of beings are they truly? Are they also at the end of the day a life form? And the life forms she has helped created have shaken the scientific fields of biology, transforming many planets, flying whales, swimming deer, different types of plants and flowers, trees. Her creations have already went beyond the scope of experience and imaginations, comprehensible to organic life. And of course, one of her greatest achievements, nearly recreating an emanator of the swarm of propagation. And because she is so obsessed with life forms, creation, biology, naturally she took an interest in the swarm, their characteristics, their behavior, and how they function. Since the swarm themselves are not evil or malicious beings, propagation is just a terrible concept to have an eon of, since it can bring nothing but disaster. She is also responsible for experimenting and help bringing life back to Tinyuin from the Xianzhou La Fu, and will no doubt play a big part with her research in science on biology to finally help take down the Abundance. Perhaps one day she will even be able to create an eon, maybe even become an eon herself, embodying the very concept of life and creation. I guess only time will tell. Next, we have none other than Herta herself, Genius Society number 83 and the owner of the Herta space station and the founder and main creator of the simulated universe. Herta is also one of the few known emanators of Erudition, and rarely appears in person as she has many puppet forms to be in many places at once. Madame Herta usually resides deep within a clock tower at the edge of the cosmos, pursuing the ultimate mysteries of the universe as a sorceress, and has met with the eons on multiple occasions. She also uses some de-aging technology to maintain her youthful appearance and continue to live in her prime. She also hates mundane tasks, which again is why she created endless puppets to do this for her. Herta comes from a planet known as the Blue, and she has the highest IQ on that planet, which is not a surprise to anyone. The Blue is a very watery-filled planet, orbiting the Herta space station. Herta has actually saved her home planet, the Blue, from destruction 19 times. And the reason she built the Herta space station to begin with was to contain an unactivated Stellaron, you know, the one that we now have in our body. Herta is just an exceptional person through and through. Research that would take someone 10 years or even a lifetime to achieve takes her little to no time at all. In Honkai Star Rail, there is something known as the Solitary Waves Theory, something heavily tied with Herta, how she became a Genius Society member, and Polka Kakamon with the unknowable domain within the simulated universe. How best to simplify this very convoluted lore? Essentially, Rupert II, around the time of the last Scholar Strife, created this scepter system, giant scepters that could enhance his mind. Basically like an imitation of Nous itself, a massive hive mind network scepter system. A young lady and member of the Intelligentsia Guild named Padavia, who was a researcher herself, went on this long journey and then eventually found Rupert II's throne, connecting herself to his scepter system, connecting her mind to the core, and then all the scepters reformed to form a complete nervous system around her, ready to serve their new ruler. But because she's an organic woman, she does not see herself as worthy of this. But in this moment, she's able to mentally connect with Nous of Erudition themselves, and peer into the mind of Nous, which is crazy, peering into the eon itself of Erudition. And when this happens, she grabs an iron sheet and notes down what she learns, a formula known as the Solitary Waves Theory, but is never able to fully solve it in her lifetime. It was Herta, at a very young age, that actually solved this equation that came from the Eon of Erudition themselves, which, you can guess, once Herta solved the Solitary Waves Theory, she became a Genius Society member and then later on an Emanator. Go figure. The Solitary Waves Theory is this very convoluted and complicated formula that basically suggests that there's this imaginary wave within the entire cosmos that predetermines and connects everything happening all at once. A theory that measures the imaginary background of everything going on, born from an unknown point and disappears beyond the unfathomable range. And why this ties into the unknowable domain is because Herta is always trying to expand the circle of knowledge. Remember, we talked about that at the beginning of the video. Something that Polka Kakamon is trying to prevent. But remember, the Solitary Waves Theory comes from Erudition themselves. But Polka Kakamon is also a society member, infiltrates the unknowable domain within the simulated universe to prevent all of this. She destroys the scepters. And obviously Polka Kakamon's objective always is to prevent people from breaking out of the circle of knowledge and expanding that circle, which Herta is inevitably going to do, which means that these two are going to clash at some point. It's inevitable. The most notorious Genius Society killer throughout history using the butterfly effect versus our current most powerful Emanator of Erudition. Some girl from the Intelligentsia Guild was able to peer into Nous of Erudition themselves, write down a formula, and Herta was able to solve it at a very young age. That's insane. And obviously we know now Herta pioneered the simulated universe, and she's also playing a big part in Amphoreus now, which honestly I only think we're going to learn more and more about her. But she is not the last society member we need to talk about. Stefan Lloyd. Stefan Lloyd is Genius Society number 84 and the last and most recent society member, and he's obviously still alive. He helped with the creation of the simulated universe. Ironically, he's somebody that doesn't really have interest in being a genius, even though he is one, and spends most of his free time with his adoptive father in his fruit shop. He's an enthusiastic gamer and helps generate ideas to make simulated universe more fun. The simulated universe project's like the only thing he's really interested in when it comes to his genius sign. He is also known to be very shy and does not like to do public speaking in any way. He also invented a pair of gloves that could capture specific frequencies and confine all light and sounds within the designated area. This invention was groundbreaking, but Stefan had no interest in sharing it with the public. When Polka Kakamon invaded the simulated universe unknowable domain and disabled the scepter system, Stefan managed to reactivate the scepter system and help them escape from her pursuit with his frequency catcher gloves he invented. His mind was blown after witnessing her facial recognition filter mesh, and never wishes to run into Polka Kakamon again. Man, just goes to show how dangerous she actually is. She is even able to infiltrate a simulated domain to kill you. And those are all of the known Genius Society members, but there's a few other people I want to talk about. Firstly, Lygus from Amphoreus. He obviously hints to be a Genius Society member and connected to Erudition, which actually puts more perspective on why he has a soft spot for Anexa, since Anexa is the flame chaser of reason and clearly one of the smartest people in all of Amphoreus. So it kind of makes sense why Lygus would have an appreciation for one of the smartest people in this very isolated, unknown world. And he's obviously infiltrated this place, so I wonder. My speculations are he is obviously a society member, but is he related to Rupert the First or Rupert the Second? Since Herta actually hints towards him having a similar makeup to Scrulum, and we know Scrulum played a part in helping prevent those wars from escalating even further than they did, and the anti-organic equation speculated to be a big part in Amphoreus with the Black Tide. Either that, or maybe he's just a member we haven't met trying to do research for Erudition. But do you think he's a good guy or a villain? Is he somebody we should be worried about? My gut tells me maybe not to trust him, but I guess only time will tell. And lastly is Mythus the Enigmata, the Eon that directly counters Erudition and all of its followers. But what's interesting about Mythus itself is we know that Eons are born of an extreme circumstance. To help create balance in the universe, and Eons come in pairs. Mythus, before becoming an Eon, was an emanator of Erudition, and a very famous member of the Genius Society. A major incident occurred that led him to reject the path of Erudition, eventually ascending into Eonhood. The true details of the incident have been hidden by the history fictionologists, of course, the people that now follow Mythus. And it's very hard to find traces of Mythus' former life as a Genius Society member. His existence as a Genius Society member was covered up by fabricating a story of an assassination by Kakamon, the Lord of Silence. So I wonder, one of those Genius Society members that was assassinated by Kakamon, the ones we know that were assassinated, or the ones that we don't know, since there's a lot of society members we don't know who they are, what number they are. One of those members could have been Mythus all along. And again, Kakamon doing what she does, guaranteeing that Nous Of Erudition's predictions and calculations come to fruition. I wonder if this was part of the plan. But Mythus sort of serves the same role as Kakamon, having absolute knowledge of everything and expanding the circle of knowledge too much can actually bring the entire universe to its finality quicker. That is what Kakamon is trying to prevent, and now Mythus, trying to disrupt and slow down the Genius Society and the Eon of Erudition, shrouding all of their secrets, the mysteries of the universe and their discoveries in the Enigmata. And that is going to wrap up the video of all Genius Society members and the most known followers of Erudition. This is a video I wanted to make for a while, and I contemplated waiting until Amphoreus was done, but I thought, brushing up on our Genius Society lore before Amphoreus ramps up with Erudition and now destruction being involved, I thought was a good idea. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Who is your favorite member? Do you think we'll meet any more Emanators within the near future of this path? Like and subscribe if you'd like to see more content like this, and as always, we will see you all in the next one. Later.